If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Amidst all the stuff that's going on, obviously the agendas continue to pour in, that they're trying to continue to push. I talked about how Fashion Week was still going to occur virtually, and the theme is gender neutral. They can't forget about these little things that they've created and worked so hard to brainwash the masses into believing over the last couple of decades as if they're true. And one of those, of course, is the racial war, which is here strictly to divide us, no matter what race you are. White versus black has obviously been the primary one. And now we've obviously seen, there's a racial attack against Asians because white people and black people are blaming them for the spread of the outbreak, which doesn't even exist in the first place. This is all engineered. This is all created. And then you get stories like this, which are just things that make you go, huh?
A photo of a man wearing a KKK hood at an East County grocery store has gone viral. Take a look. The man was spotted wearing the hood while shopping at the Vons in Santee over the weekend. As you can imagine, many people pretty upset by this. News 8's Chris Grow live in Santee this morning. Chris, how is the grocery store responding, and what did the mayor have to say about this?
Yeah, so Vons put out a statement that we'll get to a little bit later, but it's on our website on CBS8.com, where they denounce the actions of this person and praise their employees for doing the right thing. Similar sentiments shared by the mayor of Santee, that essentially this is not representative of Santee or San Diego County at large, and that this individual was wrong for doing this. Now let's show you what that looks like when this person that we still don't know the identity of walked into this Vons here on Mission Gorge Road with that Klan hood on his face. You can see him casually pushing that cart around the store multiple times, caught with that Klan hood on his face, as well as dressed in that camo shirt and shorts. Now, we're told by the person who took some of the pictures that when he saw this man, he was sick to his stomach. We saw a number of reactions on social media that were similar, and it was also a sentiment shared by Santee Mayor John Minto. He told us that he did not think very highly of this person. He was very critical of him, but he did have compliments again for the employees and shoppers that decided to do something when they saw this guy.
They saw this, and they took action. They notified the management of Vons, and they took action. They made that guy remove that mask. I'm glad they did.
And back to that statement from Vons, you can see it right here. It reads in part, quote, "Unfortunately, an alarming and isolated incident occurred at our Vons store in Santee, where a customer chose an inflammatory method of wearing a face covering. Needless to say, it was shocking. Several members of our team asked the customer to remove it, and all requests were ignored until the customer was in the checkout area. This was a disturbing incident for our associates and customers, and we are reviewing with our team how to best handle such inappropriate situations in the future." Now, we did reach out to the sheriff's department about this incident. They said they were not called to the Vons store that Saturday when this happened, but they have been made aware of this, and they are looking into it.
Huh? Really? Now, look, racism is a unfortunate thing that does actually exist because of social engineering. There are actual idiots who hate people based off of their skin color. But this was engineered by them, and they continue to engineer it so that dumb hicks or even people who are black hate whites, and then these dumb hicks who are white hate blacks. This is part of the plan, okay? And it's been here for a long, long time. So sure, this could be a real story where this guy goes into the grocery like this, but you really think someone's gonna do that unless they're a Mason, unless they're doing this and they know that they're already protected? It's like that scene in Die Hard with a Vengeance where Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis, you know, they're the two in the movie. Bruce Willis is wearing the sign that says that I hate, you know, the N-words on it because he's told to do it, or the guy's going to blow up a school or something like that. You know, it's almost like the same thing. Like, they think this guy has a death wish to walk into the grocery store wearing this. Because if one black person walks in, this guy's probably going to get his rear end kicked, let alone the fact that a white person might even kick this guy's rear end. And you might say, well, Carl, what do you think? That somebody just ordered him to do this? Well, yeah, because these become national stories. And this is what the Masons are all about. Now, remember, I've covered this before, and unfortunately, the original video, which was like one of the first 10 videos I did 4 years ago, was about the creation of the KKK. Because guess who was behind the creation of the KKK? Albert Pike and the Freemasons were behind it. Remember, these are things that are taught in the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. These are things that are taught in Freemasonry to divide the masses, to create civil unrest, which is why you see the theme all the time of civil war, right? With the action heroes, with these movies about purges and the people versus the people. And then, of course, these constant stories about dividing people amongst their races. But what you never hear about is the connection to Freemasonry, because if people understood that this was all manufactured by them and by Masons, people will get to the bottom of this stuff. The Masons are the lowest of the low. They're the bottom of the food chain, but this is where people start out. So it's important to know that. They network through Freemasonry. Even people who are born into bloodlines are introduced with Freemasonry, and then they network into other secret societies, which are way higher up and more powerful. But they learn the overall teachings of Masonry about the Godhead within, becoming your own God. But Lucifer is the God of this world, and that's who they serve. And what they want to do is divide the masses. That's why one of the most common things you ever hear is what? Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. How often have we heard that term? But nobody ever thinks about it. They think it's just a term from a movie. Ooh, divide and conquer. It's the motto. Order out of chaos is the motto of Freemasonry. Now, what's funny, there's nothing funny about racism, but what's funny about this country is that during this racial peak that they've recreated with the police and all this unrest, we saw these takedowns of statues, right? Which, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with, even though I know racism is socially engineered. There shouldn't be statues at anybody. This is idol worship as it is. But they started taking down statues and things of Confederates in all these states, right? That was a big story. Oh, they're taking it down. And then they would send the bought and paid for white supremacists to show up and say, no, you have no right to take it down. It's our freedoms that you're taking away. Just nonsense they created, right? So they take down all these statues. But the one they leave up is of Albert Pike. And they don't even talk about taking it down because Albert Pike is one of their heroes. Albert Pike is one of the, his books, Morals and Dogma, this is basic reading 101 for Freemasons. It's like Dr. Seuss for Freemasons, right? What's the most common book that like a kid 20 years ago would read? I don't know what they're reading now, but just think of something ridiculous. The Cat in the Hat, right? It's like, oh yeah, of course I've heard of the Cat in the Hat. Well, every Freemason has read Morals and Dogma. Okay, and in Morals and Dogma, I might add, it states many things, including Masonry, like all religions, all the mysteries, conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and sages or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled. And really, they're talking about us, the goyim, the cattle that they look at us as. But this is why we're always misled through the media, because this is controlled through the media. It's not just controlled by Vagelville. They're all one and the same because they all worship Lucifer. But amongst those things, those are the things that he talks about, the division, talking about how we need to, have religions, are going to go against each other, and how Bagelville's going to, be the last man standing, so to speak. But another thing that he talks about too, which I just want to, in case you're new to the channel, mention, is that this is a quote from General Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Mason. And again, this is all stuff that they all read and are taught. He says, that which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us, initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Jesus spread false and harmful statements about him? Yes, Lucifer is God. That is quote from Pike. That is what they believe. These people are here to divide all of us. So amongst this outbreak, amongst this chaos, right, this fake created chaos, which again, you talk about misrepresentation. And that's one of the things I do on my channel in exposing the signs and the symbols. This is a perfect example of what he says right there. Use false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled. Right, which is what they do to everybody. The music videos, the signs and the symbols that you see celebrities constantly holding up, the peace sign, the 666 sign, right? And people go, oh, who cares? It's not really a big thing. When people see the repetition and the pattern, it wakes them up. What people want to do once they're awake is for them to do. My goal is to wake people up at any level possible. You're not just going to go up to somebody and tell them the earth is flat and expect them not to laugh at you. But if you say, look, what do you think this means? Why is this guy doing it? Look at these 800 music videos in a row. Look at these 800 movie scenes in a row about the same plot and the same thing. That's why I use the repetition. Okay? To show you that these people are using hidden signs and symbols and giving you a different meaning for them. But in reality, it's a gang flashing these symbols on magazine covers, on red carpets, working together to influence and engineer the masses. So amongst all this, these are the stories that come out because they want to make sure they keep the racial division amongst us going, because they know, look, we haven't had any main stories. What were the main stories every day before the outbreak, right? Every week there'd be an event involving some type of shooting. There would be some event involving white versus black cops, right? And again, there was a story that came out with, I don't know, 2 white guys went after a black man and killed him or something like that. I don't know this. I didn't really get into the story, but I did see it was trending. So now they're going back into this, right? These other agendas that they set and created, they have to keep them going. They can't let people forget about it. But those were the weekly stories, right? I covered them all the time. Everybody covered them. We had the racial, the trans, the gun control, over and over and over. And now that they've done this, they've taken everyone for 3 months and their heads are in sand with this stuff, that this stuff has been, kind of dropped. So they got to go, hey, we got to keep doing this stuff, because even if we start easing away, so we can study the data and see who believed it and who didn't and all that other stuff, because that's what they do. They're like, well, we got to keep this other stuff going or they're going to forget all about it. So what do? Right, they got a Mason going in there, national news, because this stuff. I mean, you think this guy's sitting at home? I mean, unless he's on crystal meth and he's like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and wear my my KKK mask, right? And I'm not going to get beat up. He's a big fat slob. I mean, you don't think if some black guy's in there, he could whoop him down? Of course he could. This guy's not worried about his protection. I mean, come on. Then you get the other guys, right? The guy and his wife wearing, they're like, what is the word? I don't know if they stapled it or whatever, but they put Nazi things on their masks and went into the grocery store. And, they said that they were trying to make an example about what's going on with the virus and how it's what they're turning America into and that type of thing. But look, the mainstream, even if that's true and they really were doing that like idiots, the mainstream media has obviously taken this and said, oh boy, we can't forget about how racially divided our country is. And don't forget about the Chinese people or any Asian people, any Asian people at all who are in America or around the world. They're getting blamed and beaten up and attacked for this. Like, what? Where is this happening? Right? If somebody sees an Asian person, they're going, because of you, we have this outbreak in America. No. There's a larger percent, I think. We're getting to the point where it's almost 50%. And that's just a guess on my behalf. But a lot of people think that this is all bullcrap. And look, then they go down different paths. Some people think it's 5G. Some people think it doesn't even exist. Some people think that it was sent here from China, right? And those stories go on and on and on. But people are suspicious of the government right now. And that's actually a good thing. Because if they just look, they can find channels like this or other channels out there, whoever they resonate with and like to listen to, and they could start to wake up, because that's really what this is about. Once you wake up, then it's endless where you want to go, what you want to do. People, start off on my channel, then they end up going to channels to talk about gematria and stuff. I'm perfectly fine with that. Whatever you feel drawn to, do it. That's why it's important to have so many different voices on here talking about different things. This isn't a competition. If you really care about waking people up, that's what it's about. If you're really here for yourself and because you want to be the alpha male, well, you're a bona fide loser then, if that's what you're thinking about. I'm thinking about waking people up however I possibly can. And this entire race war is a complete joke. It's completely engineered. And they love creating stories like this to just piss people off, to continue to make, black people mad at white and vice versa, and just filter it down. Because remember, order out of chaos, right? And why do you think Pike, the most revered Mason, probably one of the most revered, because his teachings that they study, this guy who worships Lucifer, this slob, it looks like, he's got a keg inside of his stomach. He's so big. This guy sits there and he talks about this stuff. They got a statue out there, and you don't hear them going, we got to take it down because he was a Confederate and all this. Confederate? This is a guy who's behind starting this organization. The Masons are behind starting the KKK. That's a fact. And they even use the same similar hand symbols and things like that you can see all the time. It's a joke that we allow this. All right, people just went, get this scumbag statue down. And even if you don't even care about the racial side of it, how about getting it down because the guy talks about worshiping Lucifer? Huh? Oh, it's his freedom of religion? Is that what we're going to hear the Satanists come out and say? Yeah, until they find out what Luciferians really do and worship and the stuff involving children that they do and Aleister Crowley. Yeah, then I'm sure the people would really be okay with it. But that's the stuff they want hidden. But that's what channels like this are here for. So sorry if I went on a rant off the topic, but I wanted to cover all these things. I want to remind people that the engineering is never stopping. And it's not stopping because they're always keeping a finger on the pulse. They're remembering, don't forget, we have to continue the racial division for the civil unrest. Don't forget, we've got to continue to push the trans thing so that parents let their kids at 3 years old pick their gender. We got to push the gun control, right? We got to push the controversial conspiracy nuts taking away free speech. All of this stuff is still on the plate while this stuff's going on. And now they're going to do a data reassessment because that's really what they need to do. These people study the data, just like they studied the human brain, and that's how they created this matrix. They're going to study the data because they don't want any pushback. They don't want people to rise against them because people still have guns. People still have, some freedoms left. Okay? And they know it's probably generation, whatever it's called, Y or Z, that younger generation that they're already teaching while they're homeschooling them. They're going, oh, we're going to teach you about the virus. They're preparing them to be 100% pro-vax and all that other stuff for when they push this, which is probably tying 100% into Agenda 2030. But we have all this stuff going on now, and it's just a reminder how ridiculous all this is. If people just looked and saw the simplicity of it. There's a Freemason lodge in every town in America, okay? You don't think that they can do stuff like this and make it a national story? Oh, some guy's just wearing that mask in there. Oh, and somebody just happened to be taking a picture, which I guess is likely because people are walking around taking pictures 24/7, which is just sickening as it is. And then it becomes a national story. You don't think it's planted, right? So it's everywhere in the mainstream, and it's, oh my gosh, can you believe it? So that the media can go, amongst all this, we still have these hateful, horrible people when we need to be together as one. Wink, wink, one world order. It's a joke. Really, truly is. Remember, there's a lodge in every town for a reason. They can create small things like this. They can create protests. They could do all this crap. And then they come out and people go, who are these people? And they go, yeah, we're going to be in the parade this week. And we're going to have a little cup outside and take donations because we want to help the children's hospital. And people go, isn't that wonderful? They're here to help, right? The big illusion that they're all taught to be philanthropists. And why do you think they target children's hospitals and things like that? For many reasons, not just including the sick, perverse ones. But so that people go, oh, they're nice people. They're caring people. They donate their time and their money. Please, if people only knew. And for those people who are black, and they go, whoa, what? With the stuff with Albert Pike, there are black secret society, black masonry orders, okay? Do you think that they care about the skin color? They think that they're supreme above us, that they're chosen, that they know the secrets and they're the illuminated ones. They don't care about you and your skin color. That's like none of us should care about it. Because even black people who are Masons and white, they all know at the end, get us to be idiots and fight instead of fighting them. No matter what their skin color is. These Luciferian lowlifes, because that's what they are. I thank you guys for listening to today's show. A reminder, check out my website at callforuprising.com if you haven't. $2.99 a month. Great stuff over there. More videos continue to go up over there that I can't put up here, especially stuff with, going on in the world because they really don't want you to talk about it. without, having to beat around the bush. But that's the way it is. And again, I'm interested in hearing your stories and what's going on in your town. So the forum over there is great and worth it. If you subscribe and you don't like it, you could always unsubscribe. But I definitely think it's worth checking out. And a thank you to the patrons. Because of you, this channel keeps going. So thank you so much. You guys are the best. You're the best by far subscription base on the internet. You're not, I can't thank you guys enough for your support, your loyalty, being, just listening to one another, communicating with each other. No one's above or acts above each other, and everyone sticks up and has each other's backs. And that's really what this is about, too, in this, movement, not being, gay bears and that kind of stuff and idolizing people. It's about what we're doing here, is what everybody should be trying to do, which is wake people up however they can on this journey. And remember, the only thing that truly matters, you don't need to know what's going on down the rabbit hole. There's people who wake up because they go, oh, I saw this evil. And I picked up the Bible and I never picked it up and I read it and I found salvation in Jesus Christ. And that's all I need to know. And that's great. Then you don't have to be here. You don't need to hear any negative stuff if it doesn't affect your salvation. I'm doing this to try to wake people up however I can. And the ultimate goal for me isn't so that that somebody becomes the most knowledgeable or starts a YouTube channel. It's just a hope that you pick up the Bible and you find Jesus Christ, because you see the evil in this world and you realize, wow, prophecy is being fulfilled. And I hope this channel is helping in that way. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.